Film fans YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today I'm going to be looking at Netflix's One Piece. I am late to this review, I am aware of this, but as a One Piece fan, I simply cannot ignore this series and I cannot not review it. I am an anime only fan, but as you've seen, I do read some of the manga, and I've been watching it for about 10 years now. So I was both nervous and excited for this because One Piece, with its world, with its characters, with its design, how over the top it is, as it is the definition of a Shonen Jump manga, I was nervous, but thankfully I can happily report that this might be the best anime adaptation we have ever seen. But before I get into my thoughts on this, when did you get into One Piece? Were you a manga reader? Were you anime only? Or is this your first introduction into One Piece? Let me know in the comments below. The story of One Piece follows Monkey D. Luffy, who during the new pirate age is on a mission to assemble a crew, get to the Grand Line, find the deceased pirate Gold D. Rogers' treasure, the One Piece, and become the king of the pirates. And this is a series that has been going on for multiple decades now, has over 1,000 episodes. The manga is still ongoing, so spoiler alert, he is not going to be getting the One Piece in this first 8-episode adaptation. This covers, I believe, the first 52, 53 episodes-ish of the anime, but that is kind of skewered as it gets to the end of the Arlong Park arc, which ends around episode 43, and it finishes with the Barrel Promise. That is about episode 52, 53 of over 1,000 episodes. However, there is something that happens in between the end of Arlong Park and the Barrel Promise in the anime and the manga, and I'm pretty sure they're going to run it back for the start of season 2, which we will inevitably get with the numbers that One Piece has been pulling. Honestly, I have to say that I am highly impressed with how they have made this world work in live action. With all the anime adaptations we've gotten going into live action over the last few years, I have always said that One Piece is one that just wouldn't work in live action purely because of the scale of the world itself and the characters that you get. Just look at this cover, for example. There are characters that have heads that are bigger than their torsos. There are literal fish people. There are people with hooks on their hand. The character designs that Oda has done with his world are insane. So I'm happy to report that what they've done with this is, while they have made it live action, they have embraced the cartoony side of it. It's basically like watching a live action cartoon, and it works really well. It doesn't shy away from the over-the-top nature of the world. Hell, it even makes the snail phones work. And isn't that the dumbest sounding thing ever? That they communicate through phones that just happen to be living snails. That makes no sense when you say it out loud, but they make it work within this, and it feels very much in place within this world that they are setting up. Now, of course, I'm going to have comparisons between my time with the anime and with the live action. And I will say, for the most part, it does a fantastic job of adapting the material. Think of it as a Last of Us situation where they have taken an already fantastic story and give us the same story beats, but find an alternate route to get there. Say the anime took the left turn, this show takes the right, but the paths eventually do link up to the same places. Now, I don't always agree with the changes. I think one of my biggest issues had to be the obsolescence of Hachan, an octopus fisherman that is a prevalent part of the Arlong Park arc that comes into play a lot later in the story. I can understand why they left him out to an extent, but it led to a bit of an imbalance in the final fight at Arlong Park, making one of Arlong's second-hand men look more powerful than Arlong, purely for the fact they had two of the Straw Hats going against him, as Zoro didn't have his opponent from the anime and manga to go against in this segment. And I will say, in terms of the Nami backstory as well, whilst it does work, the way it's resolved is different in this, and it does come across as a bit of a detriment, as there's a certain reveal that is highly impactful within the source material and the anime that is changed in this. I would say it's probably one of the weaker changes and takes away significant meaning of another character's body art. That's all I'm going to say about that. Like I say, there are going to be some slight spoilers and comparisons to the anime in this, so I do apologize for that right now. I'm going to have to talk about like how they've adapted certain things to this. Now, I will say they did absolutely nail probably the first moment that any anime and manga reader figured they were getting something special with this series. The whole Nami finally asking for help after steadfast refusing to do so for so long. That whole scene is perfect. 10 out of 10. No notes, ripped straight from the pages, ripped straight from the anime. It's a fantastic scene, and the actors involved in this execute it perfectly. Though I will say that Luffy's reasons for fighting, now I can't speak to what it was like in the manga, but in the anime, I absolutely adore that Nami had this whole big story going down with herself and Arlong and her sacrifice. Luffy's reason for fighting Arlong isn't to do with any of that. He has no clue about Nami's backstory or anything that she's been through. He just simply sees that she is crying, and he says, right, you've made my friend cry, I'm going to go kick the living hell out of you. That's his whole motive in the anime. So that feels a bit lost in this, as he is given some idea as to what Nami's sacrifice has been within this. But I've jumped way ahead here, because obviously we have a lot of episodes beforehand. We get him acquiring the different members of his crew. I like how they managed to condense a lot of stuff together to make it fluid. One of the best omissions from this is Don Krieg. He is like a villain of the week character in the show, and he is shown briefly in this and quickly taken out, and it allows us to focus more on the Barate's two main plot points, and that is the relationship between Sanji and Chef Zeph, and the duel between Roronoa Zoro and Dracul Mihawk. Those are like, it's an iconic early fight in the One Piece story, and they execute that element of it perfectly. But let's get into the casting, because I have dawdled a bit too much when it comes to the casting. There are some fantastic character castings in this. Obviously, Oda had a massive say in who got to play the Straw Hats, and for the most part, I felt they were cast perfectly. Inaki Godoy, he plays Luffy and does a fantastic job of playing this very over-the-top character. He does a fantastic job of showing Luffy's just blind optimism and the way he sees the world and the way he just acts without thinking. I like that element to him, and his comedic timing is really good, and he bounces off really well with his crewmates, especially Nami, played by Emily Rudd. Now, she is arguably the best cast. You can just see the frustration she is having with the crew as a whole. One of the funniest parts of the anime of One Piece is the fact that these powerful crew members are terrified of her because she has a punch that could knock anybody out, and she hits them several times in the show when they're being too stupid, and she has to bring them down a peg or two. Sadly, we didn't get her whacking anyone around the back of the head in this, but I have no doubt we'll see it going forward. His first mate Zoro is played by Mackenyu, and he does a very good job of Zoro. Zoro is the character that is just cool without even trying, and they do a good job of portraying that element of him in this. While it does feel like at times he is trying too hard to be cool and a bit mopey, he does deliver Zoro really, really well with his rare smiles, his love for booze, and just his mannerisms. They are perfectly executed. Taz Skylar plays Sanji. He does a fantastic job as Sanji as well. He's not over the top with his love, but I love his riz that he has going. He is a ladies' man character, and you fully believe that he is a chef. And I found out since that Taz Skylar literally took kickboxing lessons, took a lot of chef lessons. He literally became Sanji on set, and you can see that translate perfectly to the screen. If I had to say there was any weak point, I would say it is the casting of Usopp, Jacob Romero. Now, I'm not saying he's bad in this in any way, shape, or form. Usopp is my favourite Straw Hat, so naturally I'm going to be a bit more picky when looking at his casting. And when it comes to the lying side of Usopp, he does it perfectly. He nails the lying side of him, but he doesn't give me the fearful vibes. Like, Usopp is literally terrified of everything, but is still willing to fight for his friends. That is his strongest quality in the show, and I feel like that element of his character didn't translate as well. But I did love that his relationship with Kaya is more heavily put into focus in this. In his introduction arc in the anime, he has these friends and Kaya, but this one focuses exclusively on his relationship with Kaya and leaves no ambiguity as to what the nature of that relationship is, which I welcomed, to be quite honest. But in terms of the side characters as well, there are some fantastic characters in this. Morgan Davis plays Kobe. He's just brilliant. I absolutely loved his character. He captured the energy of Kobe perfectly. And Aidan Scott playing Helmeppo, he is brilliant. And these two bounce off each other so well. I love that they became this unsung bromance in the manga and the anime. But the thing is, their story in the manga and anime, it's told in like flashbacks and still frames within the volumes of the manga. So I enjoy the fact that this show allows us to show their development as Marines and how they go to come close and come to really respect each other. And that is led fantastically by Vincent Regan's Garp, who is, again, perfectly cast in this. I cannot fault the casting in most of the side characters. But for me, the best casting and the best character in this, and he is the absolute meme character in the anime. Like, you have no idea how memeable this character is within the One Piece fandom. But Jeff Ward, he nailed it as Buggy the Clown. I liked how with these earlier villains, they made them more intimidating, more threatening, more horror-esque than the comical side of them that you saw in the anime and source material. He does a fantastic job as Buggy. His delivery is brilliant. He is just so zany, so funny, but at the same time, really intimidating. I could not get enough of his character in this. Craig Fairbrass played Chef Zeph, and he's really good as well. The casting of Arlong McKinley Belcher III, he is brilliant as well. Just the whole cast, top to bottom, for the most part, 90%, all fit their roles perfectly well. And the way the show managed to capture the original art designs of these characters and make them into live action almost perfectly with some changes but still keeping the essence, absolutely brilliant as well. Some other elements I really enjoyed. I love the fact that we got to see Shanks' crew doing a bit more action and showing us how great these characters are, because those of us that know the source material and know the anime know the big deal that these characters are. I love a lot of the world building elements that tease stuff that we know is coming later on. Leia Norland, Baroque Works, Jinbei being hinted at. So much is built up in this. I don't want to keep this review going too long, so I'm going to skip to the final thoughts in a second. But yeah, this show is just one of a kind. I cannot wait to see what part 2 offers. But if you made it this far, do consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel, joining the Man in the Camera for more video content like this coming all the time. I do mostly film reviews, but if there's an audience for some One Piece content, I will happily go through some One Piece content. I am perfectly happy to do that. But without further ado, let's grade this show, shall we? So, this Netflix One Piece is genuinely probably the best live-action adaptation of an anime I've ever seen. It's for an anime that theoretically should not work in live action. There is no way that this world, these bizarre characters, the creation of Eiichiro Oda should work in live action, but Netflix have done it. They have actually done it, and it is actually crazy to think. The casting are all perfect. It takes alternate routes but gives the same plot beats. It nails some of the big points from the anime, and while some things are changed, when the emotional bits have to hit, they do hit, and that is what One Piece is known for. Yes, there's a lot of filler and a lot of dragging things out, but when it comes to the emotional bits, they feel earned and worth it. I'm going to have to say that Netflix's One Piece live action is a great cup of tea. Like I said, there were a couple of flaws I had with this in terms of omissions and character motivations being slightly different, but for the most part, this was better than had any right to be. So do let me know, when were you first introduced into One Piece? Let me know down in the comments below. What was your favourite episode? What was your favourite casting? Tell me all. But until next time, everybody, my name is Josh. I've been Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.